agenda.
Okay, moving on then. Okay. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes of our December 12th meeting?
So moved.
Okay, a second. Second. Thank you, Danielle. Any adjustments, edits, or revisions to those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, thank you.
I want to go on record as abstaining because I wasn't here.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I
You don't
appreciate
have to be
that.
here to vote on it.
Okay. That's right, you were somewhere south and sunny at the time, if I remember correctly. Okay, public comment. Do we have any?
We have Amber and Joan in Google Meet and Doris Mitchell.
Moving on. I'd like to, if it's all right with folks, and this is just, I'm thinking about this. I'd like to move the approval of the 2 music trips up before our presentations because folks are here in the audience and it's in deference to what I know is an incoming weather. It's probably going to be problematic for people in their travel starting this evening. So is that okay with you, Erin?
Thank you.
Okay. So before Heidi's presentation and so forth, I'd like to take up approval of the music trip to Orono and the music. Oh, yes, and Kelsey's trip also. We'll do all 3 of the trip approvals, okay? Let's start then with item 10.1, approval of the grade 8 class trip to Quebec.
Grab my file.
No. I don't have mine.
Oh, yep, I got you. I can run it and flip for you if you want to go up on the screen. And
Got 2 agendas anyway.
I got to share my screen. Yeah, if you want to go up on the screen, Kels.
Kelsey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that right here. I got 2.
Good to go, Sean.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so thank you all. Before I start, I just wanted to report on our fall middle school trip to Camp Kiev. I, due to extenuating circumstances, was not able to go at the last minute, but I asked our team members to kind of just write up something for you just to let you know how it went. So the purpose of that trip was really team building, collaborative learning. So Ms. Crandall did a little write-up just to let you know her take on it. She said it was a fantastic opportunity to see students step outside their comfort zones in multiple scenarios. Whether it was socially, personally, or experience-related, it was heartwarming and encouraging to see students make surprising choices that ultimately gave them a memorable experience. Not only were the structured activities provided a great way to get students interacting, but the unstructured times provided authentic connections and moments for our students that they still have. So, and I know, Mr. Liberty, you were there, and we had great support with families, staff members, and students, and ropes courses and all kinds of challenges that really did push people physically and emotionally and socially. So I think it was a success. So I just wanted to give you guys that feedback and thank you for always supporting that fall trip. I believe I know everyone here, but Kelsey Orestes Middle School Social Studies. I put together a little slideshow this year. I do this presentation every year, and I just wanted to give you some specific visuals so you have a big picture of what the trip looks like. So the annual 8th grade trip to Quebec City. So it's the class of 2028 this year, the annual 8th grade trip to Quebec City. I am asking for approval to go May 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And then how it all began. So this trip began over 30 years ago now. My husband was the first one to do the trip when he was in 8th grade. And it was started by Sherry Conley, who was our principal, but before that, our English language arts teacher for many, many years. And the way that she began it was looking at Benedict Arnold, and leading up to the Revolutionary War, Benedict Arnold left with about 1,100 troops from Boston, came up to Maine through the Kennebec River, with the plan to, as colonists, storm Quebec and take Quebec City from the British. So they came up through the Kennebec and then the Dead River and then up through the chain of ponds up to Quebec City. So if you ever are in Stratton, Eustis, Arnold's Trail is what they call it. It's the road that leads you right into Canada. So that was the impetus of the trip. And we, in the spring, will be looking at that trip specifically of Benedict Arnold with students and working around that theme leading up to the American Revolution. So a lot of this Quebec history really does tie into our US history, especially with the struggle between France and England back and forth over Canada, and then the colonists wanting control of the, of the colonies from Britain. So this is very central to a lot of the learning that we do in our US history. So what to expect on the trip? So lodging, so last year was really great. Actually, we've always stayed outside of the old city, and this year, past year, we stayed at Le Concord, and it's right outside of the old city. So previously, it's like a 25-minute drive in. Staying here, we could walk into the old city. It was about a 10-minute walk, so it just really had us a lot more immersed. It's right outside the walls of the old city, 2 to 3 students per room with an adult in each room overnight as well. And that is, that is the Concord. That's our hotel right there. And that was one of our students when we were checking in. You can see the view of Quebec City right behind her out the window. Yeah. So some of the things that I really value, I think, about this trip is just some of the life skills that students can get. So the travel skills. So they're responsible for learning their way around the old city, understanding currency, how it works, why exchange rates happen, how they work, and then negotiating and budgeting with a different monetary system than they're used to. And then playing around with a little bit of French too. They take Spanish in middle school, but we do a bit of, common terms before the trip, and I give everybody a little walking dictionary. And honestly, with phones now too, they can use the Google Translate, but just that exposure to another language, I think, is really important. I have found that this trip happens to at the end of the 8th grade year, so it's a great way for the class to bond as they kind of end this huge part of their school career and enter into high school. We do a lot of things as a whole class, and then we do things in separate groups as well. But the first night we all go out for a nice dinner together, and that's always really, really fun. So that was us on our first night at a nice restaurant in the old city. For me, I think it's really important that they feel secure and understand the landscape and they can navigate it safely. So we do a lot of walking around. One thing we do is we take the funicular, which is a glass elevator from the top of the old city down. This is one of our students on the funicular, our students at the landing. But it's just a really great way to kind of give them the lay of the land. So that first night that we're there, we do a lot of walking so that when they're on their own the next day, they understand where things are for safety purposes. So some of the activities we do, this was new this year, learning through immersion. So we did this activity called Immersion Quebec, and it's a 3D virtual reality experience, and it brings you through the whole history of Quebec. And most people have probably done this. I've never had those goggles on before. So it's wild, anywhere you turn your head, you can see the old city in the 16 and 1700s around you, and people clearing land and farming, and military, military development through the years, and indigenous people. It's really cool. So that was a different way to kind of learn the city, or some of the history of the city that we've done in the past. We also do a ghost tour. The first night, so this was actually our guide, and he was awesome. And he walks us through the old city and just tells us different stories of different buildings and their history of people who lived there in the past. But it's very theatric. And it's also, again, another way to learn the city. So there's kind of another reason I like to do that the first night. I always try to make sure that we honor the indigenous culture there. So this year it was really wonderful. The Musée de la Civilisation is a history and a social museum, cultural museum, and they had a whole exhibit on the Native peoples of Quebec. So we got to do that exhibit. And it was just amazing. The bead work. They had the snow goggles for the Arctic, Arctic exploration or Arctic living of Indigenous people. It's just really, really cool. So we went to that museum, and then there were other exhibits at the museum. So I think museums are always really important. I love bringing students to the museums. I think it's a great opportunity also to learn social etiquette, just, how to be out in different places in the world. The Citadel is an active military base in Quebec, so we do a tour of that. We do some hands-on learning where the students actually get to try on different uniforms from the past, and we walk through the whole thing. There's a museum on site there as well, so that's us at the Citadel. The Chateau Frontenac. So again, old, beautiful, grand hotel. We did a tour of the Chateau Frontenac, so we got our tour guide outside. He brought us all around the perimeter of the boardwalk and explained that to us. Then we do a tour of the hotel, and this is just kind of neat. When you walk through the hotel, they have rooftop gardens, and they actually make their own honey. So that's kind of neat too. So a lot of, I don't know how much they produce overall, but definitely their restaurants are supplemented by their rooftop gardens and the honey. So I thought that was kind of cool. Martello Tower, it's there are two towers that are on the Plains of Abraham that were former barracks for soldiers. So we do a tour here. This is always super fun. It's just a blast. The kids do a lot of role playing, and it's always a ton of laughs and wonderful hosts. So this is when we arrived. The host was meeting us and working with the kids. So learning about life of the soldiers, and just doing some competitions, loading old muskets. It's really fun. So. Then we go to Saint Anne de Beaupré, the Basilica, which is in Saint Anne. And just some pictures of that. And it's culturally and artistically just stunning. So we go there as well. And then these are the doors of Saint Anne de Beaupré. These are copper doors. The artwork is repoussé. It's using copper, and you push out the copper with tools to kind of emboss it. So the gentleman who made these doors at the cathedral, his family has a gallery down the road, and his granddaughter actually runs the gallery now. So the kids get a tour of that, and they all get a hand at making some copper art, so they can all take home a little copper memento from their trip. And then the value of just being in another culture, I think is really, really great. So just some pictures from around. Most of us always end up at this great crepe restaurant where they're making these grapes. And just some of the sites. When we were at the museum, there was this troupe there that was just silent, like acrobats that were just in the lobby doing these really cool formations the whole time. It was really cool. So.
Kelsey, I was just muting someone.
Oh yeah, no problem. We were almost done. Like I said, I've done this presentation so many times, and I've shown you a quick slideshow, but I wanted to give you a better picture of what we really do. So safety is always, for me, the most important thing. So looking at the hotel rooms, to have an adult in each room, we have a 3-to-1 adult to student ratio, and I already have a lot of parents who said they're interested in going. I always have all students carry student ID with emergency contact info on the back. We have large and small group supervision, so I oversee kind of the whole group, and then chaperones have 3 or 4 kids that they're all responsible for, so it's kind of a 2-tier level of supervision. I have students sign a contract for behavior, and I keep copies of everybody's travel documents as well, so passports and stuff I hold on to so that we don't worry about kids losing those out in the city. And then I meet with chaperones and students and just talk about policy and expectations and rules before the trip as well. And I think lastly, the cost of the trip. So thank you, Chris. Last year you suggested, because of COVID, that we had a delay in fundraising, that the school board would help make up some of that trip. So this year I budgeted for part of the trip along those lines, and I really thank you for that. And then the students have fundraised, because as we've discussed, I think fundraising is an important piece too, that they work for this and that, they understand the value of what they're doing. So really, I estimate, I said the trip is about $300 per student, that's kind of high. But I wanted to leave a little bit of a cushion, I think, but between $250 and $300. It includes lodging for 2 nights, entry into all activities, and most of the meals. So the only thing students are responsible for are 2 lunches, which are, nominal. It's, like a Subway sandwich shop. They're not, and one at the mall at the food court. So not huge fee, and 1 dinner out on their own in the old city. Then they're responsible for any souvenirs or personal spending. But beyond that, we take care, the class funds take care of the whole trip, so.
Questions or comments from the board? Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Will you be able to keep us informed about your fundraising so that we're sure that there's no student that's left behind because of financial reasons?
Thank you.
Because that's really important to us as a board.
And that means a lot to me. Thank you for looking out for those
It
kids. I
should be
will.
available to everybody and not constrained because of money issues.
Absolutely, and in the past, when we've had that happen, I have to thank Heidi Deary, we've used Grandmother's Purse in the past, years ago to help kids, just to cover some of their costs for meals and stuff, so, we've always made sure to find a way, but the board is stating that and saying we wanna make sure that this happens, is really important, so thank you.
Exchange rate's pretty nice still.
It's awesome.
I was just up
Yeah.
there.
That $300 is really about $240.
Yeah, it's wonderful, it's really good, so.
I make a motion to approve.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Any questions or comments beyond that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we're catching folks on Zoom, right, because we need them for.
Yeah, Amber and Joan,
Okay.
both say
And
yes.
Kathy, right?
Kathy is.
Yeah.
Is
Kathy on
Kathy
there or
Cassidy online?
No,
She's not.
Do we have a quorum?
Okay,
I believe we do.
all right.
Because we don't have Deb Ladd, we don't have.
Yeah, I think we've got,
Are we?
Yeah. Okay,
We have
a
two range
quorum, don't we?
votes.
I'm pretty sure we have a quorum.
I don't know, 3 range. Well, we got 3 range votes.
We got 3 Rangeley people
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
so.
We got 3 range votes, we easily have.
We have 651.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking because that thought was crossing my mind too. Okay. Okay, well, good luck with that and keep us
Thank you.
posted and we look
Great.
forward to hearing about the trip when you get back.
Awesome, thank you all so much. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Welcome. Okay. Okay, Brooklyn, Mass. Aaron.
New England Music Festival.
Oh, the New England Music Festival. I apologize, Aaron. I have that, but
So the first one is in March, and that's the New England Music Festival. I had 2 kids audition in December. 2. And Eric scored high enough to be accepted to participate in the festival. We've been doing this for, I can't remember how many years. Connor Ellis was a junior, I think, and he's like 30 something. So it's been a long time. I drive down, it's always in a different location. One time it was in Norfolk, Connecticut, which is a long, long way away, but this one is in Mass, which is not that far, so that's good. The students stay with, I'm not sure if they stay with host families or in a hotel. Last year, because it was the first year after COVID, they rented out an entire hotel pretty much, and the kids all just had like a hotel that they had, and all of the directors had a separate hotel. But in the past, they'd stay with host families, and I'm not sure which one they're doing this year, but either one. The company that, the organization that runs it all has it all everything is very planned. There's chaperones, there's lots of, everything is budgeted for, mileage, participation, my hotel, everything is already in the music budget.
Okay.
And I over budget for it because I never know how many kids are gonna get in,
Right.
so.
So you want to take them one at a time or both?
Excuse me?
You want to take them one at a time or both?
Let's take this one first and then we'll
So moved.
go on. I have a motion to
Second.
approve the strip. Chris, seconded by Danielle. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor? Okay.
Joan and Amber.
I have
are
just
in
one
favor.
request, Eric. when you get back from this, you have to come and perform for us
Yep.
again.
We'll send-
We
we'll
do
send for
that
your supper.
because we so enjoyed the last time you came and shared your talent with us. We'd love to hear you again.
We are currently working on his music for Carnegie, and there is some weird music that the conductor chose, and hard.
So a bit of a challenge for you, but
Oh,
that's, after all your competition experience, that's gonna be a great experience for you. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next trip then is the Orono trip, All-State Music
Yeah.
Festival.
The Maine All-State Music Festival, for the first maybe 5 or 6 years that I taught here, I didn't have anybody get in. But we've been consistent since then with at least one. I think one time I had 3. No, I was not Billy Daxton. You, right? Did you go to All-State? Yes. Again, everything is already budgeted for, over budgeted for. It's also a workshop conference thing, so even if I didn't have a kid, I would still want to go to the conference, which is also budgeted for. So I'm driving, it's just Eric, and he spends the whole weekend at Orono on campus. His meals are part of the package. Everything is every minute is booked.
And Eric, do you feel at this point in your life that Aaron has adopted you as a second?
Pretty much, yeah.
Spending a lot of time with
I
her.
practically lived in the music room this year.
Okay, can I have a motion for approval of the All-State
So
Music
moved.
Festival? Thank you, Bob. A second? Second, Chris. Any questions or comments, concern? All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate you willingness to let us bump you up so you can get home at a reasonable time.
Congratulations,
Okay.
Eric.
We'll go back to the regular agenda. All right, presentations, Heidi.
I just want to follow up from last month when I was here. I was supposed to talk about 2 different programs that Laney and I have been working on. And I got a little pumped up about our program, so I didn't get to talk about our other program, which is e-dynamic learning. And this program is something that Delaney and I came across last year and started diving into last spring. It is curriculum. It is curriculum that is for a number of different subject areas, but specifically what we're using it for in student services or school counseling is career education. So this is research-based scope and sequence, middle school and high school career education. Now, that is something that I have done in the past, and I have created my own curriculum, which was fun and demanding, but I was always searching on the search for something better, and I feel like we have really found it in this program. This is going to allow us a number of things next year. This year, we're kind of piloting it, and we are using it in the middle school and with our freshmen and sophomores. And in the spring, we'll be working with the juniors. So it's really gives kids, identifying their interests, their skill sets, connecting those to career clusters, and hopefully, because we see this as a huge weakness here in Rangeley, is exposing them to thousands of different types of jobs in those career clusters that they are not exposed to here, even in Franklin County or Maine, for that fact. So we're really trying to get some exposure out there. So that is actually going on now. There are a couple of other teachers that have looked at this and thought, wow, a research-based curriculum with scope and sequence that is being constantly updated. And some teachers have opted to put it in their budget and for next year and take advantage of looking at that type of curriculum. So, the other thing I just want to talk about, if you can pull up that next slide, Sean, is this is something that we're super excited about for next year. And it is called virtual internships. And it allows, will allow our students, this is something that Delaney is budgeting for, to potentially they'll have a course that Delaney will oversee them in, and a year-long course, as well as doing a virtual internship in one of these areas, which you can see for those people that are always saying, you know, we need to take advantage of our resources here in our community. Some of these are certainly in line with careers here in Rangeley. So we're going to be doing this along with getting our work experience program back going next year, hopefully. But this is a virtual internship that is year-long, where kids are learning, you know, how to communicate at work, you know, workplace behavior, how to work as a team, making sure that, you know, you understand the skills of being in a workplace. So we're pretty excited about it. We have, I think, a number of places in the community that kids could be enrolled in this class and out working in our community, perhaps in one of these areas. So we're kind of excited about that. I just want to let you guys know, basically, you know, we've got some exciting things coming forward for our students as far as career education. Obviously, you know, there's tons of research of why career education is so important now, especially, I think more than ever, connecting kids to their future. And when we talk about kids who are struggling, and you know, that is something that that research is showing, is kids are not connecting what they're going to do as an adult, how they're going to make a living. So we're really focused on starting early and getting kids excited about their futures, because obviously when kids are excited about their futures, usually they do much better in school and are more engaged in their own learning. So there's a lot of dots to connect, but it's really fun work, and we're really excited about it. We will be happy to come back later this spring and talk more about this if you guys would like to hear more, but I am going to try to limit my excitement and not talk too much about this. But if you have any questions, obviously reach out. Yes.
Hey, I have two. One is, how many kids do you think will be engaged in this program?
Okay, so we're thinking about, as far as the career education, middle school through high school, all our students will be involved. As far as the virtual internship, we're thinking about, it will be our juniors and seniors who will have this option.
Okay.
And there could be potentially 5 students involved. So
Say, how many?
5.
Okay.
But what we want to do is, with our sophomores, is we want to make sure that, because we have a workplace readiness class that our sophomores will be taking starting next year. That's part of this EDL. And what they're going to do in that course is, you know, like I said, you know, learn the skills of being an employee, but as well as with this virtual internship, this will be for our students who have taken that workplace readiness class already. And this is kind of like the next step. If they want to be connected with a workplace in the community, like let's say your business, like if we had a student who maybe had gone to Foster Tech as a junior and worked in culinary, took that program, and they're really interested in perhaps working in that field or owning their own business in that field. We could, as a senior year, put them in this class, have them do a placement every other day at your business or another business, where they're actually getting hands-on experience as well as the benefit of this curriculum. So it will be another option for our students beyond Foster Tech or the college online classes.
And that was my second question, Heidi, and that was, what is the relationship between this program and Foster Tech? And I think you sort of indirectly answered
Yeah,
that.
I think it's gonna complement each
It
other very
complements,
well.
extend the
Yes.
experiences that kids have had at Foster.
Yeah, what I'm excited about is to have a curriculum. I mean, many of these parts of this curriculum I did prior to COVID with my students that were in work experience. But this just streamlines it, and I'm gonna say that it's probably much better than my curriculum, just because of the research behind it. So I think that it's gonna complement Foster Tech and allow students the option of Foster Tech. And I would hope that students will do both, do Foster Tech and this program, because I think it could benefit one more.
Chris, and then I want to make
Okay,
a
go
comment.
ahead.
I noticed that some of the internships there are areas that Foster Tech doesn't offer, for instance.
Right.
They do offer, on the culinary side, they offer cooking, but they don't offer anything in the restaurant,
Right.
that type of area, or the hotel,
Mhm.
and some of that. So as far as
It'll
what I've
complement and
seen
expand.
from the committee Georgia and I are on, there's some
Yes.
stuff in this that is not at the Foster Tech. So I think it's a good, especially in our region, because there are students that do want to stay in the area that has some good experience they can get.
And I think obviously the more that we can, as a school, get students, help them build skills to be in the workplace, whether it's just for summer employment or as they work their way through college, or in their careers, I mean, the better off we all are.
And the research is very clear that 90% of the people who lose jobs because they don't have appropriate personal skills to interact in the workplace. So that's a really critical component of their learning.
Yeah, they've really identified that as a weakness across the board, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hope that this will really, we're really excited about it. And the last thing I want to say is BAR, I just want to say that where sixth grade is going along really well. I think the middle school is really pumped up and jiving on it. They're really understanding that the efficiency of meeting and discussing students, all students, is making a big difference, not only in their time, but how they interact with students. I'm so pumped. Delaney's doing a great job, and Kelsey, as the team leader, is really, pulling it all together and supporting that. So it's great work, and we're excited to expand and hope that the state will continue to support that initiative.
Well, and Heidi, just as a side comment, I think this is so critically important because I know one of the byproducts of COVID, aside from the slippage in academic achievement of kids across the country generically, is the concern that kids are just disengaged with school, particularly at the high school level. And so if there are any kinds of books that we can provide that give them a diversity of experience that make being in school relevant because of the experiences they're having outside of school in programs like this, I think those are key and very, very important.
I agree totally, and I think that the earlier that we can get our middle school and high school kids making a connection along those lines,
Right.
the better off they are, so, yeah, really excited about it.
Any
Yes,
other comments or questions for Heidi?
Just a general comment, we talked today, we have a lot of experiences right now for our juniors and seniors. And like Heidi said, before COVID, we had a work experience program in place. Foster's comes up once a month, maybe works with our middle school. We've looked at ways to get our 9th and 10th graders. We're far away. Transportation, timing, getting kids to go to a program at Foster's at a young age and still doing their classes here is a challenge that I think investing in how we can do it here with what we have for resources in our community, and with something like this, I think is the way it's gonna have more impact. It'll be it'll just be a better program, I think, because it's just hard. We can get our juniors and seniors down there, but we have so many resources here to tap into, and with like e-dynamic learning, with the career, I think it would be wise to do that, because we've looked at ways to get our sophomores down, which it's just like, it's not, the work we go in and the driving, the travel and all this, just to go down there for like 80 minutes just doesn't make sense. We can do it right here.
We're really gonna do all we can to get as many different opportunities and experiences, because that's the big thing with the research is it's not only knowledge and information that students need, they need experiences.
They need experience,
And
yeah.
different experiences, even when they say, well, I don't think I wanna be I don't wanna learn about being whatever it is. Still, that experience is something that they're either gonna say, wow, I didn't understand what that was, or, and now I might be interested, maybe I don't wanna be that type of nurse, but maybe I do wanna work in the medical field. Or they learn, I mean, what's better than learning what you wanna do is learning what you don't wanna do. And, or being stuck in a job, I always say to the kids, a career is a long time to have a job you don't love. So, that's what we're really trying to do is find what they are interested in, their skill sets, and get them knowledgeable about the different options that are out there. So,
And again, as the chair of the board, and I know the board in general feels this way, we really appreciate your enthusiasm and commitment to this,
thank you.
because we know the kids are gonna benefit directly as a result.
Thank you very much.
for coming back
Thanks, Ed.
and sharing more with us. Okay, Kate, the Leadership Conference in Washington DC. Kate, I had to do a double take because I was trying to send you an email today and I realized you changed your last name.
Right, so I've got 3 of our 11 students who attended the leadership conference in Washington DC back in November. So I kind of broke it down by the numbers. Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay. So here's all the students here. We have Lily Schaefer, Nicole LeMay, and Eric White. So total it was 5 days, 11 students, 4 chaperones, it's myself, Delaney, Ethan, and Shelley. And then round trip, 1,284 miles. We raised in 6 weeks, $10,316.38. And then the numbers of Ubers and DoorDashes are too big to count. So,
Nice transition. Great.
yeah. So I didn't really put any text on the slides. The kids are here so they can explain. But Thursday was our travel day. And so we left from Rangeley on Wednesday night, stayed overnight in Portland, and flew out first thing on Thursday morning. Boston, I'm sorry. Yeah. We had all sorts of different modes of transportation. So white bus from here, van bus, whatever we call it. I call her Wanda. Okay. But yeah, so then we took the Concord bus down to Logan, and hopped on the flight there. Any of you first time flying? No, okay. You guys want to talk about travel experience? Anything that stood out to you or particularly interesting? It was fun. It was fun. Okay.
Travel was fun, I guess.
Okay. This is one of the first places we got to eat that night. We arrived in DC, and then we stayed in Crystal City, which is in Virginia, just over the Potomac. And so we got to explore a little bit. We went to the National Landing, which was really fun to check out. And then we went to dinner in that area that night too.
We keep going? Okay.
So Friday, we kind of jam-packed.
I had it on Friday. I had another nod. That's okay.
Friday, we kind of jam-packed everything into the days So Saturday was the focal day for the conference. But Friday we kind of jam-packed. Do you guys want to speak to some of the
Well, we did go to American University, which we got to sit in a room with, it was a very diverse group of people, like very young, very, older. And they talked about the experiences that you have there, how, I don't really know how to explain that, but they talked about the campus-like experience. I thought it was cool how there's, do you remember what they said about the dorms, how it was kind of like there was this like living facility, which was really open to anybody, but really it was just like a dorm thing for all the college students because they all happened to be there. It's right next to the college. I thought that experience was really cool. We got to tour the entire thing, got to walk around all of DC.
It was very cold and rainy that day. You can see our nice fashionable ponchos, but we stuck it out and they got to experience that. So we went to Union Station, we had lunch there, and then this is a pool at American University over here. Then we came back to the hotel because that was our.
Yeah, they had a silver medalist winner for track.
Yeah, for a track, her name's Sarah.
And she came and spoke about her experiences with failure, pretty much. We did that, and then we went and walked around and saw Abe and the Washington Monument, which was cool to see at night. So it's just like pretty.
So Sarah Wells, she ran track and she again talked about setbacks one after the other that she had to face and how close she was to making it to the Olympics or in the Olympics.
She did.
Yeah, but didn't make gold. And this is kind of the welcome session that we attended on Friday night at the conference. Oh, and then we got, sorry, real quick, that bottom picture you could see was our farm to table. It was a really awesome experience. A local person here kind of connected us with that farm to table experience in Washington, and it was awesome.
They used to work there, right?
Eric, yeah, so he works at Eric Levine. He's a cook at Sargent's now, and he actually helped open that restaurant. Eric, do you want to talk about
Saturday we got to listen to another speaker, who actually was a writer with published graphic novels, which I really loved.
His name is Tony Weaver Jr.
Yes, that's his name. I thought it was really important because he touched on how people need to be more interconnected and just embrace who they are.
And had some, he told his story about mental health issues growing up too, which was, there's a lot of tears in the audience, but so that was cool.
What else? He was the guy that talked about how a lot of adults don't tell you, but a lot of doors in your life will be closed, but there's different opportunities out there for you that will end up loving and grabbing from the back. That has stuck out to me.
So in case you couldn't hear that, so he spoke about how a lot of doors in life might be closed, but that other opportunities that come from that.
After that, they just kind of let us loose to pick what speakers we wanted to listen to. And the first one I listened to was the Make-A-Wish Foundation speaker, and I actually am in touch with them. I want to do a project for NHS, but they pretty much just talked about what they do, because a lot of like Make-A-Wish is more pointed out as like kids with cancer, dying kids, and they get to make a wish, but it's not that at all. And there's like a certain criteria that kids have to fit. So I am in contact with them, and there's like, I think we only have one like place in our state, but other states have more. Where they just have a team of people who work, but yeah.
Any other sessions that you guys attended that?
I attended one about water, which was about the scarcity of water or clean water for people, and I also attended one about fundraising for the school, for their schools.
We talked a little about.
Oh, yeah, sorry. We talked about
I went to a group session where they talked about fundraising for their school as well, which I thought some of them that they do is like the same as us, but then they also have different fundraisers, like they have a turkey trot, which I thought sounded fun. They have rallies, it's just a bunch of different ideas that I thought that we could bring back to our school at some point. And that was probably my favorite one.
I just went and saw that guy again. He had a different session, so he had a session in the morning and then one later in the afternoon, and so I went to the one later in the afternoon too.
I actually got to go to what Delaney and I both went. We were both kind of just sitting there like eyes open. A phenomenal speaker. He works for Johnston's and his name's Phil Campbell. I don't think any relation to Mrs. Campbell, but they call him PC. He is a motivational speaker, but he used to be a teacher, he used to be an administrator, and now he goes around talking about how to revive school culture. So it's very, very impactful because we have a connection with Johnston's. We actually have all the resources that are available. It's called Johnston's Renaissance. So we're looking at different ideas to implement improving school culture and student engagement next year to kind of piggyback off of other initiatives that are happening too. So then on Sunday, that was like our one day that was free. And so you guys want to talk about what we did? We started the day pretty early.
Yes, it is. Arlington Cemetery was really cool. We got to see a bunch of historic people's, well, I don't want to say their graves, but they're yeah.
This is
That seems a little morbid, but yes, it was really cool.
I thought it was super impactful because they're supposed to be like quiet and respectful, obviously. And I think that kind of made everyone in our group realize how serious and real it is.
So the changing of the guard, we got to watch that. It was every hour on an hour. So that was really impactful there. And then just kind of a long shot.
Except when we went into the Washington Monument too.
Yeah.
We got to go on the elevator to the Washington Monument, and it was very cool. The top two pictures, like on the left, are the pictures from inside. And
Actually, all of them are.
Okay. Yeah.
All of
Those
them
are the two that I
are.
took pictures of.
Yeah.
They have it's just really cool how you can see really the entire city and everything's very lined up and proper. Yeah, you learn a lot, and there's this like person in the elevator.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So later that Sunday, we also, we all went into little groups with chaperones and we got to go to different, Smithsonian museums. I ended up going to the natural history because I love dinosaurs. And I thought that was really cool. So I got to see all that stuff.
Guys, where'd you guys go?
I went to the Holocaust Museum, which was very cool and very interactive. And even after that, at the end of it, there was it was a cool little button. You got to take a little microphone and you put it up to your ear, and there's different people and it's in their voices. I think it was another massacre that happened in, I can't remember the country. It was like Israel. And it was really cool how after that you got to listen to more experiences from specific people themselves, and it was really cool.
And then some of the other ones, where did you took them to?
We went to Air and Space,
Air
and
and
then
Space.
by chance, we had enough time to hit the archives, and my group was really excited about the archives, which I didn't expect, and we got to see the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and I was pretty surprised about how excited they actually were about it. So we got lucky and hit that on our way to dinner, and on our way out, with the rest of the group got the experience from somewhere else. We caught a motorcade going by with all motorcycles. We still don't know which politicians in it, but it was pretty exciting.
That's cool.
Since we were able to go the scooters.
That's right. I was trying to find. I didn't have time to put the videos on it, but the one subgroup that we broke off into, and that was the beauty about having. Obviously, we have our policy 1 to 8 chaperones, but the nice part about in a city that size is that not everyone has the same interest, so we got to break up and they got to choose where they wanted to go with, Shelley and I went to the Museum of Natural History. The rest broke up into different museums, so that was cool. But was your group, you guys? Okay. They decided they really wanted these scooters. You can rent them, so they paid with their own money to rent these scooters and zip around for how long?
I think we've going for a while.
Yeah. And they were just cruising on the sidewalk, it's like.
Someone's like, I'm sorry.
Not that one. But yeah, so overall, we were able to pull some money to subsidize the rest of the trip in addition to our funds raised from high school field trip and college search trip. So that was helpful, and definitely something now that I know what the experience is like that we can budget for, because I think overall you guys learned a lot. I think just again, these types of experiences are not something we necessarily teach in a classroom. Like, you know, when it's 36 degrees, you're not gonna wear shorts to dinner because you're gonna be cold, right? So, you know, or things like that, so that we have to learn. And, you know, when it sends out group text messages that give like a whole breakdown, we gotta read them all because they're very specific as to what time we have to be places. But again, learning experiences that happen outside of this building. So thank you again for supporting us and helping us raise enough money to be able to turn it around in 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing with us. Comments or questions from the board?
I would just like to say as a general comment that I think especially with what's going on tonight with the reporting, that I really, really appreciate the fact that our school here has a really good balanced combination of academic and experiential and engagement learning. This triple threat that I call it, technical, organizational, and interpersonal skills, really will help better prepare our students, no matter whether they go to a big city like Los Angeles to work or whether they stay here and start their own business. And I really feeling pretty good about what we do here.
Thank you, Rob. That's, I think, really important.
I just wanted to mention one more takeaway that we had from the trip that we kind of put into place here.
One of the meetings, I didn't go to it, but a majority of the kids that went on the trip did. And the speaker talked a lot about school spirit and getting kids involved, which kind of inspired our group because we noticed that, like, for soccer, there was nothing for, like, the senior night and there was no decorations or anything. And it's just kind of like, we don't have pep rallies. And I know that our school population is very slim and it's hard to organize stuff and get hyped up for small events. But we've been meeting with Seth every couple weeks to talk about what we can do. And we started setting up like little things on the lockers for kids that participate in sports or theater and put posters up in the gym just to try and hype up the school spirit a little bit more.
Essentially serving as a principal advisory committee, so taking what they learned and bringing it back.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you presenting to us and staying. Okay, we're gonna move on then to reports. I have a number of things I just would like to make you aware of. We are going to be, first of all, let me say, given the bad weather that's coming in, I'm really kind of concerned that people travel home safely. So if we can hold the last of our reports down to concise conversation, that would be helpful so we can get out of here at a reasonable time. We will be seeking a waiver for 3 of the snow dates. Well, she told me 26 and 27. Just 2. Okay, 2 dates from the DOE. We're not, we have a form that we need to fill out. Georgia and I are not clear as to whether or not the board needs to make a formal vote on this at any point in time, but if we do, we will bring that back to you in February. The 2 dates involved is the 26th of October, when there was a shooting in Lewiston and many of the area schools closed down, and in deference to safety, we called school for that day. The second was December 19th, when we had the terrific rainstorm and the roads washed out and we couldn't get kids to school, particularly from the McGalloway area. And we think we have a solid case to get waivers for those 2 days. You may be aware, I'm sure most of you are, that Kayla Alexander is now a member of the Sandy River community as a result of purchasing a home there. So she'll be vacating her seat as a Rangeley board member. She is going to be contacting the town office in Rangeley, and the process will have to occur at that end with respect to them soliciting a new board member to join us. We had a conversation a couple of days ago with respect to committees on the board. It's a new year, it's a fresh start. Just kind of a reminder, guys, chair responsibility is to get the set and then get the agenda out to their board meetings in advance to make decisions about what attachments or support documentation that should accompany that agenda, that there is a secretary that's taking minutes of each of these meetings, because we do post those reports on the website for the public. So just know that you need a secretary, you need to communicate between the secretary and the chair of your committee with respect to the accuracy of those notes. And then when they're approved by the board, we'll get those posted. One other thing that I just want to mention, it's kind of a ticklish issue, but it's been brought to my attention again, that people are texting each other during board meetings, and I would just ask that you use discretion in not engaging in that behavior while we're here working together as a team. Let's move on to the superintendent's report.
Well, I can keep my report very brief tonight. I don't have anything to report on.
That's quick. Okay, thanks. How about Seth?
I always.
You gotta turn it over to ladies and
Save me some
Nicole
time.
and Nicole.
I'm just gonna do this really quick. The second quarter ends next Friday. Winter Kids, I believe the starting ceremony is next week, you said? My siblings are-
It's coming already.
Started this week though.
Big ceremony though is coming up.
It's Thursday, yeah, Thursday.
Oh, this week, good.
11th.
Okay.
According to the calendar.
At Lakeside Dance Academy's second semester started today, and the college acceptance letter wall that Delaney set up in the hallway is slowly but surely it's increasing. And I know that every single one of those seniors who is up on that wall is really appreciative of it and really loves getting that recognition. And the senior classes began planning class day and graduation. I have a few things. I'll try to make it quick, but bringing it back on what we were trying to bring back from DC, again with school spirit and along with attendance and really just supporting each other, because we do have a small school. We're trying to embrace that and just show up for each other. So for the basketball games, we do have a Loon's Nest now, which is the student cheering section, and we did have a basketball game the other day, and a bunch of people showed up. I think just about that whole section up, and by the end of the game was filled up. And I think the team really did appreciate it. I feel like they felt more supported, and we enjoyed watching it too. The second quarter ends next week on the 18th. I have that, and we don't have to. I guess I'll just bring this up from feedback from the high school students that they wanted me to talk about today was Ski Tuesday. I was going to talk about it with you first, Mr. Liberty, but you were doing Ski Tuesday. So they just they really did like getting dismissed as well and going to the mountain. And some of the things that they brought up was that they believe that they should get also dismissed at 12 to go skiing. And another thing that was brought up is that high school ski team is making ski team practices during those school hours, so they leave around the time that the younger kids would go. But they also missed their fourth period class, which they didn't think was very accommodated for, because they could get behind on those classes. But they were upset that they couldn't. So they were thinking that maybe either we all should miss a fourth period, or that we all should just get dismissed and skip the mountain as well, because they did like getting outside and skiing as well. But I do know the concern with them leaving their groups. But I just thought that I would bring that feedback back. So that's what I have.
Thank you very much.
My first thing, Ski Tuesday, and, you know, the decision for grades 1 through 8 was mostly because it is the Ski Tuesday program, that's what we went for this year, is resources at the mountain for instructors, is that's what they could handle. So we looked at numbers, that's why kindergarten didn't go this year. And really, honestly, we had a bunch more people register. And we were wondering if we're gonna let all the late registrations go today because of instructor numbers. But really what it comes down to is last year, we had a lot of kids sign up, and we've got to decide moving forward because there's two things that can happen. Ski Tuesday, the way it is, it started like way back, it was a little different, but then it moved into this thing where Ski Tuesday is a learn to ski event. It's mountain supplied instructors. We have to decide moving forward if there's going to be a Ski Tuesday program and also an RLRS volunteer ski time. It's going to be a lot more planning. You need more volunteers, you need more chaperones. And so we have to decide, you know, the program's growing. We want more kids to go. Not a lot of kids signed up last year. We did have a handful go. I talked to Jeff, you know, the ski team, as far as practice for varsity sports, gets the least amount of practice time. So we said, well, we can let them go. They're in good standing, and they do miss a fourth period. But usually it's like a green, and then the next week is gonna be a gold, so they only miss that same one except the first two because of the long weekend. We thought about that. But I think next year we have to decide, you know, are we gonna, you know, have Ski Tuesday and then also a school-based thing? Because if we're gonna do that, what we really should be doing, if we're gonna get out at noon, is not just go skiing, is that there's something that everybody can do. Because there's a trail center in skiing, but way back there was ice skating, snowshoeing, which we have. But the program's in this weird, like way back, well, 20 years ago. Well, it changed pretty, like 20 years ago, I used to organize it, and all it was is there was a few instructors, but it was really community volunteers. You'd show up, give them some kids, no fingerprint or anything. You're just like, here you go have fun. Yeah. And that's what it was. And then at some point, right at kind of there was a change in ownership, and then it went to like, well, now our school, the ski school instructors are going to be the volunteers. And that really makes it, because it's just different. Like, and I think the mountain last year talked about doing some like park clinics and stuff for the advanced skiers, but we just have to decide what we want to do. And I think for this year, doing just a Ski Tuesday, I thought, you know, asking again for that 12 o'clock release was a lot, because not a lot of not even half our middle school go. So we were, you know, losing more. So I think it needs some growing. The amount of work that goes into it is immense. Between myself and Joanne Dixon. Joanne Dixon, like if you see Joanne, please say thank you. The amount of hours she puts in, strictly volunteer. There's no more vouchers from the mountain. Right? It's all our volunteers are strictly just doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. Jimmy Quimby and his team letting us come up there. There's a ton of planning. But you're right. I think if we go to that, we have to decide, are we going to go back to the model where, but the thing is, if we're going to do that, I want to be all in. Like if we're getting done at noon, there's going to be something for everybody. If we're going to embrace outdoor activity, extra things, it's not just, well, if you don't go to ski, you get 8 weeks, you can go home and like play video games for an extra hour and a half, 2 hours a day. I just want it to be meaningful, you know. But and then like some parents took the choice and dismissed their kids that were outside the program. They were having a blast outside, being healthy, skiing, and I don't know the number of those. We have 68 kids in the program that go to the mountain, and 4 that go to the trail center right now. And there are some varsity skiers that go up to, I think there's 4 that go up. 4, 2, 5, 4, yeah.
Seth, I talked to Kevin Banfield a couple months ago.
Yes.
And he had expressed an interest in teaching skating on a Ski Tuesday if we were to ever bring that back.
And I would need, like, I have a hard time, I in this planning of this, I hate to delegate too much to my teaching staff. You know, they're so busy. We have some amazing volunteers. that program would be big. Because the moving parts, the transportation piece, like, there's a lot of things, and just when you think you have it, it's like you have a student that needs to go here, you're like, oh, okay, we have to. So I would be all in, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to have a team that plans it, because you have a lot of volunteer needs. But it used to be like that. We'd have a huge amount go away. And what I would do is I would say, if we were gonna do that, it wouldn't be a 12 o'clock release from school. We would say at 12 o'clock on Tuesdays for 6 to 8 weeks, we're shifting to active learning, like going on to stuff, so people are involved.
I was just gonna say, I apologize, it's my fault that we switched to instructor train there. That happened during my administration at the mountain, but one of the reasons we did, we weren't getting consistent experience for all the students, and Mark Roby, who was running the ski school, wanted to make sure that every student had the opportunity to get the skills. It worked pretty good as a loose thing, but it got a little complicated for a while there, and there was the voucher stuff got a little out of control, so that's what was real back end. So what I'm hearing loud and clear from you, Seth, is let's continue with the status quo for this year, and then look at kind of revisioning, if at all, for next year. Because I will say that sitting both at the mountainside and the other piece of that, it's a big project to do. But like what Bob said, it's what's great about our school is developing experiences. So if we can thread that needle somehow and figure that out, but I think you need to stay at the status quo for this year. I'm hearing you on that, because I think it's just too hard to try to shift, especially even if you put something together and brought it back to the board next month to look at, it's over, right?
It is a beast. Like,
And parents have the right to dismiss their children, is what you said,
And-
right?
Yeah, it is, and it's just, the environment, it's a beast, because the safety is so paramount when you're in that environment. And so we have the kids with the Ski Tuesday, and like, even when we had the ski day, I don't know if we're gonna do that this year, we're gonna have to see, but like, we did the all-day ski day, and you go up, and you make this decision, do we go to Saddleback and let kids, if it's during the school day, and they're not dismissed, they're our responsibility, do I let them go free ski, or does every group have to go with the volunteer? And there's all these things, and kids get weird about that, but it's a beast. Like, if you go up and watch what those volunteers put in today to work and get all those kids on the slopes, it's insanity, and it'll get better. But yeah, I think status quo, we have a lot of conversations with Jimmy. Everyone wants it to happen, we just gotta define it and see if we can grow it, but I hear you.
The world's a lot different
yeah.
than when they started in the 50s.
Yeah, fact. It's like, here you go, here's 6, go have fun.
Yeah.
Go wherever you want. Yeah. So, but I think it's a good program, it'll grow.
Last question.
Okay, so I know there were multiple high school parents that were not aware that they could excuse their kids from school at noon to ski.
I don't advertise that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna say, come get your kid,
No,
go
but
ski. If they
a lot
decide
of
they
them
want to
were-
dismiss their kids, they can come get them, but I'm not gonna say
Because they are missing a class.
Yes, but so are the kids that are doing the program.
Well, high school kids aren't in the.
Yeah, but
And 8th grade's not missing, this middle schools they're missing a study hall.
How many kids did not participate, just out of curiosity, Seth, in that?
Eligible groups, right?
Last year, we had 3 or 4 high school kids that did Ski Tuesday.
No,
That did, like,
I'm talking about Ski Tuesday. How many kids didn't elect to participate in either Nordic or alpine skiing today?
This year?
Today.
130? Maybe, I don't know what current.
108 are participating, or?
No, you said how many chose not to be in the program?
Yes, but
So
that's
it's
only
70?
it's only 1 through 8. So how many 1 through 8
Oh, 1 through
students
8.
stayed
Oh,
behind
gosh,
today?
I don't know, I'd have to get a count, we had 12 or 14 middle schoolers go out of, so probably 30 middle schoolers are still here.
There was about eight or so, 8
Yeah.
or 9 elementary kids.
Yeah, so
Elementary signed up a lot of.
We took 4 or 5 kids left in each study hall today.
Yeah, so
A lot.
Some,
Yeah.
the numbers are growing.
I'm just curious if a lot of them did, because I think it was low enrollment last month when you were talking to us. I know.
Yeah, it was like at 50, and then they left the sheet open, and like 12 people signed up, and we found out on like Saturday. So
Okay.
we were unsure if it was even gonna happen on Tuesday for a little while. But yeah, I don't know the exact number of elementary, and I got a feeling more kids are gonna sign up.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
seemed like a big group up there today, so I was
Yeah.
just curious.
I can say Seth's put a lot of work into this.
It's hard
Yeah.
because it's an all or
From a
nothing,
third
like
party, yeah.
my thing with the just, you know.
Scheduling and then buses.
Because it's a huge, that 12 o'clock for some people was a big impact on their lives, and if they didn't have any interest in going to the mountain, they were like, well, my kid could have been in school for another hour and a half. It's just, it's a beast, but I'm willing to look at it, and I think, but for this year, we need a decision, but I think more kids will sign up, maybe.
All it took is being left behind today.
Over the week, yeah.
On the outside.
But that's if they can, because I know when we had that big bump in numbers, Haley was like, I don't know if we can open, I don't know if we can accept anymore, so.
I just had a question, so if, this is just like hypothetically, if a high school student did want to leave at 12 to go ski, would that be excused or unexcused? Because,
Is it an educational?
well, I mean, kind of, I was just saying.
I don't know
if-
if this is a discussion, like that's, we have policy, if we think it's educational.
I was just meaning like, if, like for the ski team students, like, it was agreed that they could because they're in good standing, like what if there was some sort of policy around leaving, or like sort of like a privilege, like if you were in good standing or depending on your fourth period, if you could, if a high school kid did want to. I was just throwing that out there, but that was
For this year?
for it just in general, I don't know.
Yeah, the way we looked at skiing was just like soccer and basketball teams and baseball teams that get out at 11, go to a game.
Yes.
You know, the part of that team in hockey has pushed for a long time to get our kids more time on snow. We thought this is an excellent way to do that. But I would tell any of them, if you're feeling stressed, your coach is gonna hold that against you. Go.
My 2 cents is that you leave school early, you're missing your class, that's on you to make up. You have to be ready to accept that unexcused absence because it's not really excused if you're not signed up for the program, then you're not gonna get an excused absence for that. That's something you could take up with your own, like, personal discussion, I think. And if you think that you can handle the workload of missing a class and then going and meeting with your teacher personally and getting caught up on all of that work and not getting, I don't know if penalized is the right word for it, but just having like that many absences in your class, because that does add up over time. I feel like that's really a personal issue. That's something that needs to be dealt with personally. It's not necessarily like the whole high school. I think it comes down to people just want to get out an hour and a half early.
Yeah.
Like, I can't speak for everybody, but that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Ted, then?
I wanna just, the Loon's Nest, so when they came back from DC, we met, and it's been an excellent group to meet with. I think we call it like the student leadership team, or I wanna call it like, I think like the principal advisory committee. It's really a nice environment. We talk about school spirit, but they share things, and as we work into it, I want it to be in a place where like I can go sit down with them, and I don't want them like, what's going on at school? What do I need to know, like work on? Like not like being bad, but what do I need to work on? What am I missing? What do I need to do better? And I think that's gonna be a really awesome thing moving forward. But just like the Loon's Nest is really, Crystal Fagoli from Sargent Sports Club was like, well, how can we help like build this school spirit? And it's funny, like everyone had the same idea at the same time. Like this group came back, we need school spirit, school culture. Crystal like, how can I help? Lindsay Savage and I are like, we need a school store. Like we have merchandise. How can we? And it's all coming together in the Loon's Nest, and we have pom-poms coming and all this stuff. And that's donated by Sargent's Pub and Grub and Crystal organizing that. But I just wanted to like, I had a parent text me. One student said the crowd is a huge part of the way they played last night. Like you could feel the energy in the gym. The kids were showing up. People were pumped. One student commented the energy, an athlete, a basketball player, the energy in the gym was electric and really helped pump the team up. You know, Jeff's team, we were like this close, like the 0.5 seconds left, balls in the air, and like almost went in and out. Like I think it went in and came out. But it just goes to show with like 2 meetings with these guys, one community member. One thing we realized with like the senior night is we had all these things that happened every year, and there wasn't somebody from school that was doing it. It was like community members that like took it on, and we're like, okay, we need to start closing these holes, because if somebody graduates and moves on, oh, what happens? And like, maybe Crystal's starting to do that, and we have other parents reaching out, but it just goes to show a couple meetings, some focused effort, getting kids excited did for a team. I mean, I heard people in the stands that aren't always, they question and are always super supportive of some things, leaving saying that was amazing, best basketball game I've seen in years, good work. Which is really good to hear, because we take it on the chin a lot, trying to do these things. So I just want to thank them. I think it was from them, a parent stepping up, people being excited. It was a super positive night in our gym. And if you need a hoodie or t-shirt or hat, you come see me. Yeah, so that's what I got.
Thank you, Seth, I appreciate that. Moving on to committee reports, Kathy's not with us this evening. I will report out for her, we met on December the 20th. Because of the schedule with the start of school after the holiday, we reviewed and/or tabled 11 policies, and we are bringing one policy forward for approval by the board during that point in the agenda. Moving on to finance, Chris.
Finance, we reviewed, Seth and Sean brought forward a possible grant opportunity for us, and we authorized the matching part to come from our capital improvement fund, because it will be dealing with security and safety of the building. We finalized up the stipend review committee, which will consist of Karen, Joanna, and Mary. Joanna will be the chair, and 3 members from the RTA will be handling in relation to their stuff, as well as we'll be looking at sports, extracurricular, and the teacher stipend piece. I did want to comment to your comment about the texting. I was using my phone to access the documents that weren't in my file because they weren't
I
available
understand,
there.
but it has also been brought to my attention that people text one another during the meetings, and that's all I
Yeah,
think.
well, I
I
haven't
think
done
bringing
that,
that
so
to the public understanding.
that's fine.
I wasn't
And-
picking directly on you, Chris.
No, that's fine. I use my phone a lot. I have other businesses outside of here, things happen.
The one we're at the meeting with here.
That's your choice, yeah. You can take me on the terms that I'm here or not, so it's your call. But I think I contribute enough that if I need to respond
I'm
to
not
a
picking
text
on
for an
you
outside
guys.
business,
I'm not getting all this now.
Yeah, this is.
Discussion ensues, we're good.
We're fine.
so with that there, so we have a revised procedure for the stipends that's gonna go forward, which will be done over the next few months. Hopefully we'll be able to see a budget soon, so we can get going on that part, so that's it there, everything else is tracking accordingly.
Thanks, Chris, I appreciate that. Facilities, Danielle.
The walkway lights, IEC came out and took the yokes, but they will be delivered back to us shortly. We are all set for a lift that we are renting and has been secured by Mike Haley, and the light should be here Friday or Monday. The fuel tank, the backfill material is frozen. So it looks like we are looking maybe for an April installation. We did get the okay to use our current tank until May 1st with limited fuel, which we usually do at about 25%. And then SK comes out and fills us pretty much weekly. And then Seth gave us an overview of SAFE, which is our security assessment and facilities evaluation. We're looking pretty good in some of that. There are some areas for improvement, but those we're going to keep quiet for safety reasons. That's about it.
I appreciate that. Okay, moving on. Do we have any appointments, resignations, nominations, or transfers? Oh, I'm sorry, Bob, negotiations. I skipped right over you. I apologize.
Rejection.
Um,
As you all know, the negotiations process is confidential. I can tell you this, we do have some activity taking place later this month. And at the next meeting, we will have a little bit more substantive report.
I apologize for skipping over you.
I'll give you for that.
Okay, do we have any appointments, nominations, resignations, or transfers?
Yes, we do. Sad for us, but very exciting for her. Sonia Johnson has announced her formal retirement after this year. I hope I do you justice on this, Sonia. Dear Ms. Campbell and members of the RSU 78 School Board, it is with pride, excitement, and a bit of sadness that I submit my formal letter of intent to retire at the conclusion of the 23-24 school year. I'm excited to enter the years where I get to put into practice what I teach every day. The joy I found in passing this knowledge down to numerous generations is incredibly difficult to put into words, but it has been my everything. When I accepted this position, it was to selfishly be closer to my family and children during their school years. I did not realize at the time that in accepting the position, I would be gifted a larger extended family that I will be eternally grateful for. This family has nurtured, cared for, and celebrated my continued growth as an educator, artist, and human. Those supportive years allowed me to create an art program that I am incredibly proud of. Even prouder is the fact that at least 3 of my prior art students are currently teaching at RLRS. And I am confident that my replacement will be handed down to a well-trained, committed artist that will be blessed in the revelation of the family they find at RLRS. My parting words as a member of your family: you never know when the light will turn on, so don't forget to keep flicking the switch.
That's great.
The illumination is breathtaking. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you have, or who you are. You all have a brain and are capable of greatness. Don't give up on even the toughest of family, because you really might be seconds away from seeing the moment you change the course of their life for the better. Also, be there to hold their hand at their worst. Not every risk is successful. And please don't let them stop trying. Be grateful for what you can do, because it may seem small, but to one kid, it is everything. I will sincerely miss each and every one of my family, but I am a great visitor and an even better guest. I will be back in the forums to continue my extension of love and support. In those forums, sorry. Please feel free to contact me if any additional information is needed and guidance. That, I wanted to tell you guys, that was incredibly tough for me to read.
Any comment? Having been in Rangy for a long time, since 1986, and have known Sonia quite well, and I would say that her legacy here speaks for itself. And I hope that what she's done here is an inspiration for the rest of our teachers, staff, and board members. It's something to aspire to. I also think a celebration is in order. There we go. Okay. So Georgia would be, Mary, if you agree with something like that, perhaps at the end of the season we can plan a party.
We do every year.
Whether
Every
somebody's
year.
retiring or not.
But we will make this an extra special one. I do have letters for board members from her as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I agree with you, Bob. You know, when I first joined the board, one of the first things I heard about the terrific things that were going on in this building was we had the best art program in the state of Maine. And, you know, her displays throughout the years and have just been breathtaking. And that's a real testament to the program. So she's going to be sorely missed. Thank you very much. Is that it? Okay, we're moving on then. We have one last action item before we leave. And it is in the BCB. I wasn't prepared to do this. I apologize. I didn't know Kathy wasn't going to be with us. It's in the BCB policy under conflict of interest. We reviewed it by comparing it to MSMA's January 2020 policy, and in the definition of a stipend employee that's included in the conflict of interest, was not in our existing policy. So you'll see in yellow that number one, we're adding as a definition of who would be potentially in a conflict of interest. Stipend employees means a person who receives limited monetary payment of benefits through a series of payments or in a lump sum for personal services performed in advisory, mentoring, or coaching capacity for school or school administrative units. So they're also incorporated into this policy. And in addition, we needed to add a cross-reference that was absent in ours, DJ H, which is purchasing and contracting, procurement, staff, code, and conduct. So those are the two additions. May I have a motion to incorporate those into this policy?
Moved.
A second? Thank you, Karen. Any questions or comments? Yes, Chris?
Won't this affect all our coachings?
Yeah, well,
So that's gonna limit us even more in coachings. So if somebody has a contract that they do business with the school, they won't be able to be a coach. This is a conflict.
well, this is a recommendation made by MSMA. It's incorporated in
This
policies.
is
and
required
others.
by law for us to enact it. Is that a yes?
I believe it is, Chris, I wasn't, I apologize.
No, it's
I can't
okay.
answer that question because I wasn't aware, and Kathy has the background around this. If you'd like to table this until she
I would
can
like
be
to,
here,
yeah,
to
just
answer
been that
that
question.
question, I'd be more than happy to do that. So can I have, yes, Bob?
I just have a couple more questions. if
Sure.
I may. Georgia, do we actually have a conflict of interest disclosure form?
If we did, it would be probably attached to this policy.
I didn't see it, so
Yeah,
I was wondering that
yes.
that is actually fairly common in the not-for-profit environment. So it might be something we want to look at. And just generally speaking, it's challenging to deal with conflict of interest, particularly in a small, tight community, because you want to use the best talent you have. But at the same time, you may have at least a perception of conflict of interest. So there really has to be a dose of respect and common sense. And when you're dealing with conflict of interest, and I'm sure sometimes at the right moment, things bend a little bit, but we have to be careful not to break it. But I honestly think that the conflict of interest disclosure form would help to serve our functionality in that sense.
Well, let me, if it's agreeable to folks, let's table this until the next meeting so that we can talk about the implications. Kathy will have, I'm sure, more background and recommendation around the inclusion of this. And in addition, I'll ask her to explore a conflict of interest disclosure form so that we can maybe use that as a form of clarification of this policy. Chris?
Yeah, what Bob's talking about, I've seen that before, where if the conflict of interest is disclosed and then you still accept the position, you've got to document it why, so it's not like it's in the dark. I mean, so I hate to see us limit people in the community helping us because they also provide us some services. And I think it'd be a real shame.
Okay.
We have enough trouble getting coaches, right, Jeff?
Yeah. Yeah, it has broad implications, and you're right. So we'll table this. So can I have a motion to table this policy until
So
our
moved.
next meeting?
Second.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Okay, moving forward then. I think with that,
Something you think?
oh yeah, absolutely. With that, all I need is a motion.
Mary,
to
somebody has a
adjourn.
question.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Point of protocol, you had a motion second on the table. Probably should have voted the first one down. Second motion.
Point of order.
We voted.
We had an open motion on.
Oh, I'm
the
sorry,
floor,
we
and
didn't
it
take a vote. I
needs to
thought
be
we took a
redacted.
vote.
Well, it could
Okay.
be tabled.
First one down.
We voted the
We
other
voted to
motion?
approve it, but never.
By Robert's rules, if you've got a motion open and then you table it, that kills the previous.
Yeah, I believe that that's the process, and we voted to table, so that other motion is void, null
But I
and
see where
void.
you see that.
Any comments?
Okay, are you satisfied with that answer?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn? Karen, all those in favor? Danielle, everybody in favor? Everybody drive safely. Hopefully you avoid